Hey, make car noises.
Vroom vroom.
Why'd you put a steering wheel on your side?
Hold up. Vroom vroom.
We better put that on our list to fix. We know our Mustang runs, but today we're gonna find out if it'll drive. The first thing that we know we're gonna need is the engine running. Well, it runs, but I feel like we should probably go ahead and try to put a kit in the carburetor, change the oil. We need to get a belt on the water pump, and the alternator would be nice, but at least the water pump so it'll cool. So the first thing we're gonna do is finish getting the engine ready to go. And we're just gonna make a list and write it right here on the, I guess, the side window, because there's no windshield. So it's a little wet. It was pretty dewy out this morning. So we're gonna do engine first, and that's gonna include the belt and the oil and the carb. Okay. Then after that, the engine running is gonna have to transfer the power somewhere. So we're gonna need the transmission to work. I'm not gonna go through the transmission and do a bunch of stuff to it. All I'm gonna do is put a shifter on it, because if I can't put it in gear, I don't know if it's gonna do anything. So we're gonna do shifter. And we're just gonna try to revamp the original shifter. I don't know if we're gonna be able to read this when it dries. Once we get it running and moving, we're probably gonna wanna be able to stop. Actually, we're absolutely gonna wanna be able to stop. So what we're gonna do is get the brakes working somewhat. I'm not looking for performance braking here. I'm just looking at don't run into something. I already have a little knowledge about that, and here's what happened when we got ready to push the car out in our last video. We just got done polishing the Mustang, and we need to get it out of the shop because we've got another project coming in. But before we do, I need to get this wheel freed up, because as you can see, it won't turn. So we took the tire off, and I'm pretty sure the problem with this is the brakes are froze up, but I found another problem. That is definitely not gonna work. So we're gonna have to order, we'll just order both of the front brake hoses, and we'll probably go ahead and order the one for the rear as well, because it's not gonna be in any better shape. Need 2 pry bars.
Is it actually moving?
What?
Like,
Yeah. Well, the good news is the caliper piston seems to be working okay, but the inner brake pad is froze to the spindle. We're gonna have to get a hammer, I think. I don't think we'll reuse those. Brake pads are cheap enough. Let's see if this wheel spins now. Nice and easy. That'll work. Well, the brake hose is good on this side, but the little bracket up here that holds it isn't. Probably just have to fabricate something for that. I doubt if that's a part that's available, but I'll look. We're just gonna cut the brake hose on this side. There it is. Now this side spins nice and easy too. As you can see, we're gonna have to replace the brake hoses because, well, they were broke, and one side was broke, the other side I cut. So I have those here. I also got one for the rear. I don't think I'm gonna change it if I don't have to. If we can get it working without it, we're just gonna run it. I don't really need rear brakes anyway. Fronts will be just fine. So we're gonna put brakes on the list. We're gonna add one more thing to our engine list, because we're gonna need to get fuel to it, because dragging that boat tank underneath the car is probably not gonna make it very far before we have a massive fuel leak. The last thing that we're gonna do in order to drive this car is I'm gonna need somewhere to sit. We, between the last video and this video, if you watched, you could see the seats are obviously not gonna be salvageable that came out of this car. We went scrapping around the junkyard and found some seats that I'm pretty sure are gonna bolt right in. They're not the coolest looking seats, but they're more comfortable than a bucket. So we're gonna put those in. I think if we get the engine running properly, a shifter hooked up, the brakes working, and seats in it, we're ready to see if this car will drive. Hopefully, it's that easy. We're gonna start by taking the carburetor off, get it apart, so that we can start soaking the parts and getting everything cleaned up. Okay, we got all the bolts out, and I think I have everything disconnected, so let's see if it'll come off here. Maybe I don't have everything disconnected. What did I miss? Something back here feels like. Can you see what it is? Nope. Okay. We're gonna go ahead and disassemble the carburetor, and we're gonna use this little baking pan that I keep in the garage. That way, if any small parts fall off as we're disassembling it, hopefully they get caught in here and we don't have to chase them around the garage. Let me get this camera set up so you guys can watch. Unfortunately, my NOS carb kit didn't come with any instructions, so we're just gonna take it apart, put it back together the way it was. I think I got all the rubber and plastic pieces off of this carburetor, so the main body, we're gonna go ahead and throw it in the soak bath. We're gonna throw all of our parts in this basket. You just don't want to get any rubber or plastic in here. Or any small parts that could fall through that hole. And being as this kit is a tiny one, we might have to do this in 2 separate stages or 3. We'll see if this will go. What?
It's so close.
Well, that's good enough. That's all the parts of the carburetor. We'll leave that in there for, I don't know, a couple hours maybe? What's the directions say?
Not to drink it.
No, it's too old for that.
No, it says it on the front.
Really?
Yeah. I thought you meant it was too old to drink at first. I was like, okay.
Okay, it says to let it soak for 20 minutes, so that's what we're gonna do.
Are you gonna remember where all these parts go?
I'm not. Fortunately, they're all pretty specific and you can't really put it on upside down or backwards.
Are Ford carburetors different from what you've worked on in the past?
Yes, I've never worked on anything like this before.
Carburetor just isn't a carburetor?
What?
A carburetor just isn't a carburetor?
No, they're all different. They all have different circuits and I mean, they all work basically the same way, but there's major differences in the intricacies of them and how they go together and come apart. This will be our second batch, and we're gonna go ahead and start working on getting that pulley changed while we're waiting for that first batch.
Where did you get the pulley for that again?
From a friend of mine in Colorado who has a bunch of, he's a machine shop actually, and he has a bunch of core engines laying around, and he had one that we think is gonna work. So if you look, you can see that the bolt holes aren't all exactly the same. So only one way this thing will go on here. It's not that. It's not that. It's that one. We're just gonna stick a couple bolts in there. Now the things that we're worried about are the height of our pulleys, and as you can see, they're exactly or near enough exactly the same. And then if we put our keyway at the top, right there and right there, so our timing marks are in the same spot on both pulleys. Now, this isn't an exact science like checking to make sure that they're 100% perfectly the same, but I'm assuming that our zero marks are in line. The yellow mark and then this one right here. So this pulley will work even though it's not exactly the same. Now that we've got our pulley figured out, it's time to pull our carburetor back out and see how it's coming along. It definitely looks a lot better than it did when it went in. What do you think, Amber?
Yeah.
We'll still have to carb clean that and get it nice and clean, but
I think once it's rinsed off though.
yep. Okay. Now we'll put all our parts in for our second batch. Okay.
You want to go down or spring?
That'll probably not be in the basket when we pull it out.
Time to go fishing.
We're just gonna get some of that dip up there on the top of that since it didn't all fit completely in there. All right, now it's time to take this outside and spray it off to get all the gunk and stuff off of it. All right, that's gonna need some fine detailing, but I think that's pretty good to start with. All right, it's been about 20 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and pull the other half of our carburetor out of here and take it outside and spray it off. It's rebuilt. I went ahead and replaced all the vacuum hoses with pieces of bolt and nails and whatever else I could find to shove in the end of them with actual vacuum caps. I left this one open. This is gonna be our ported vacuum that's gonna go to our vacuum advantage on our distributor. I'm not hooking anything else up. I'm not hooking up the vacuum line to the EGR or any of the other stuff that has vacuum lines on it. The only one besides the distributor that's gonna be hooked up is the one going to the transmission. And then The choke pull off has two options for vacuum, I guess. I'm gonna put a plug on this one. It's also got vacuum that comes out right here as well. So if it doesn't pull off, then I'll just hook manifold vacuum to the choke with a short piece of vacuum hose. I'm also not gonna hook anything up that wasn't hooked up before, but everything that was hooked up, I'm gonna hook back up. I don't know if the choke works or whatever this solenoid does, has some type of idle control solenoid. I don't know if any of that stuff works, but they were hooked up before, so I'm gonna hook them back up. I'm gonna replace this fuel hose, and I'm actually gonna put a little piece in here so I can put a filter right there. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Just bolt it down. I've got some initial settings on the carburetor that hopefully will be okay. I turned the choke to its lowest setting, so it should pull off quick as possible. If I have to, I can adjust that once I get it running. But bolt this back down, put our fuel hose on, and then we're gonna work on that crank pulley. Carburetor's done. So we can cross one thing off our list. If you can't tell by the light level around here, that took a long time. We had to do a bunch of errands too, but carb's done. Now we're gonna work on the belt, the oil, and then we'll work on the fuel. Actually, we're gonna do the belt and the oil, and then we're gonna save the fuel system for last. All right, so our keyway is on this side, so we should be able to just take this. If we have to, we will get the balancer puller installer out, but I don't think we're gonna need to. It shouldn't be a press fit with this pulley. And it went on pretty easy so far, so. All right. Now for the belt. We'll have to loosen up the alternator. I think I don't have the right size belt.
That's potentially problematic.
I don't have the right size belt. Hold on, I have a stack of belts. Let me go see if I got one that'll fit. So this one is the same length, but it looks like it might be a touch wider, so we're gonna try it. Not wide enough. Oh, that actually by number is the exact same belt. This is hopeless, but if I don't try. Nope, it's a little too short. So this one's a 365 and that one's a 470. So, no, I'm sorry, that one's a 450. Probably like the 420.
It's almost like finding the keys all over again.
I must have got one for the air conditioning as well when I was there. Fixed. All right, now for the oil change. And this is about to make a mess. Oh, hey, no water. That's a good sign. I'm gonna go see if that other oil pan has a drain plug. It's not the same size. This isn't the right oil pan for this car.
So did the oil look like it was okay?
It wasn't full of water. That's pretty much all I can tell you. And there's no way you can tell by draining the oil out of something that didn't have metal in it or water, and that's all I can really ask for. You gotta pour slow. It can't drink as fast as this pours, I guess. Somebody added to my list over here. So oil's done. I think we'll tackle the fuel system. We'll see how it goes. I can't decide what I want to do. The pickup is fairly low in the tank. So what I might do is pull the pickup out with the tank in the car, see what we find, and then decide from there if we're gonna go ahead and drop the tank and try to clean it out, or just put the pickup back in and buy stock in fuel filters. Oh, I don't know. No way the stock standing unit is gonna ever work. Let me see, I'll show you the I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it or not, but right there where the pickup is, it's rusted completely through. Weird things rusted on this car. I don't know. I mean, obviously there's rust everywhere, but like rusted out, that's kind of unusual. So, obviously we're not gonna be able to use that. Let me do a little research, see if they offer that, see how expensive it is, and I'm gonna go ahead and take this one out and see what the rest of the tank looks like. Okay, wish me luck.
Bye.
I should probably cut the hoses.
Why?
So that it comes out of there cleanly.
Does it smell so bad?
Well, that's a good sign.
Does that mean it's mostly empty?
It's not. Well, it's either completely plugged or it's not above half a tank. That's not a good sign. Holy crap.
What's wrong? Is it rusted through?
No, put your
I don't want to stick my finger
no, put your
in there.
camera down here.
Oh. Ew.
It's like full of sand.
So that was something someone put in the tank intentionally, not
I would
bad
say.
gas? Maybe to absorb it so it doesn't rust?
No. Like,
So gross.
well, the tank's definitely got to come down. We'll see if we can clean it out. For now, we'll rig up a more permanent boat tank solution. So what I'm trying to do is there's a slot for these, the nut or the bolt has like a square head on it, and I thought it'd be captive, but it's not. So I thought I could just slide them out. That's not gonna work either. So now I'm gonna have to try to hold that with a screwdriver or something and turn the bolt. If I get them a little bit loose, I could probably get them out that hole, but they're too tight now. They won't rotate enough to come out. Okay. There's one. So that's what I was talking about there. Kind of have a square head on them, but it's not actually captive. And then I just was trying to slide it out, but it didn't work. So on to the next. Oh, that one has a hole behind it, so I can get the screwdriver in there better. Oh, shit. That one came off easy.
It's a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be. It's got a hose.
Yeah, it's got the filler neck. At least it's not full of fuel. Okay. Let's hold it. Oh, the vent line on the top. Oh. All right. Well, it's not that bad, actually. Let me get a flashlight. I can't look in there with my headlamp on. Well, it might be salvageable. I don't know. We're not gonna mess with this right now. We're gonna go ahead and use this for our fuel system. As a bonus, it comes with mixed gas in it, so that'll be nice. We're just gonna throw it right here in the trunk. Maybe a little bit further forward in the trunk so the deck lid will close. We're gonna put this in here, just in the back and run the line through it. Not a great idea to run a fuel tank like this inside the cabin if you don't have some type of vent going outside the cabin, but this is a temporary solution just to get the car running and driving. This is not a permanent solution.
You need to put some Febreze in that fuel tank.
I don't think that's gonna help. This clips onto our tank. This end goes on the factory fuel line, but first we have to get under there and we're gonna try to blow some air through it and see just how nasty it is. We have a fuel filter, so hopefully there's not a lot in there. I don't think that goes through.
It's totally factory.
Okay, here it comes.
What the hell? How is that happening? That didn't even kind of go in the bucket.
No?
It went all over my shoe.
Now you feel like rotten fuel.
It came out as like a spray. At first I thought it was sand, but it was a mixture of sand and, or maybe it was just spray, but yeah, it just kind of.
The one on the left?
Yeah.
I'm gonna need my light. I bet you that other plug that I was trying to put it through leads into the frame rail, and that's why it looks like it's leaking fuel several places on the frame rail.
That makes sense.
All right. So that's the fuel system back here. I just need to go to the front. Okay. That should be the fuel system repaired. All I did is, so this is the hose that was on there, and I probably could have got away with just shortening it a little bit, but I just ran a new hose. And then this is the return line, and I just cut a piece of this off. Unfortunately, I hate doing it, but I had to just put a bolt in it, put clamps on it, because I don't have any plugs that will plug 1/4 inch fuel line with pressure on them. This is gonna have a little bit of pressure when the carburetor closes the float bowl, like the 5 or 6 pounds that the fuel system runs. We're gonna wait on the coolant. I think it's time to tackle the shifter. So I've been working on the shifter for 2 weeks, a little bit at a time, getting everything freed up and all the rust cleaned out of it so that it moves. We have a couple more things we have to repair, and we'll go over to the bench and I'll show you what we gotta do. I cleaned it and I painted it, but more importantly, I freed up the little lever, and that is what runs on this gate here for your gears. And then the reason this broke, you can see that it's rusted a little bit, and it actually broke this part that fits over this D down here. And I'm gonna have to get the welder out and build this edge up. I've got it so it's bent so that it fits pretty good. It's got just a little bit of slop left, but I can address more of that once I get the weld on there. And then I also took this and cleaned all these parts up. I treated them with rust converting agent and then painted them, and then put a little silicone lubricant on the bushing there. So this all moves nice and free now. And I don't know if I showed it before, but this was rusted solid and would not move before we did this. I think that's gonna be as good as, well, maybe not as good as new, but it's gonna be good. All right, well, our shifter is, I wanna say rebuilt, but that's not the word I'm looking, repaired. It's not perfect. It's definitely not like a restoration, but I think it's gonna serve the purposes for this car and allow us to put the transmission in forward and backwards so we can try to drive it. It's gated, but not really. Locks in park, and then you can go all the way to low, and then you can go all the way to drive, and then if you're careful, it kind of stops you in neutral, reverse, and park again, but it is what it is. It's just a stock shifter. Now I gotta find the bolts that hold that in. Okay, will you reach in there and try to shift it? Okay. 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 All right. I know I wrote brakes next, but I don't want to work on the brakes, so we're gonna go to the seats. Seats! The actual seats came out of a 2004 Mustang. And the passenger seat, the track and everything is straight out of the Mustang. The driver's seat and everything we found there, except one old 95 Mustang that had terrible seats, were power. Well, we don't want to run power. I don't know if the electrical system in this car can handle running a power seat. The driver seats, we just found that even on the 95, the passenger seat tracks were exactly the same as the driver's seat track. So we found another Mustang with a manual passenger seat, and we got the seat track out of it. The only problem that we ran into is, let me get this one out. On the driver's side, this side of the seat has the mechanism here for adjusting it. I think it's like a lumbar, just adjust the height of the back. Well, we're gonna have to cut this part of the seat belt part of the bracket off of the other one. These seats aren't gonna fit perfectly, and they don't have a console, so this is all gonna show. But that's not the intent of these seats. These seats are something to sit on that's not a bucket and wasn't $600 or $700. But it is a bucket. It's a bucket seat. According to what I read, these seats should basically get stuck in my pocket. They should basically bolt into this car. And well, the width is right on the back. They're gonna work. They fit exactly. They don't match our interior very well, though.
They kind of look gigantic in there.
Probably gonna have to take this off because I don't know if the door will close with that on there. Oh yeah, it closes. If you're doing this, if you just pop this headliner up, there's just two bolts there and this seatbelt holder comes off.
You said it doesn't match the interior, but it has no interior.
I just want to say interior, it's all here except for the carpet. What else is missing?
That's not the headliner.
Just because the headliner's not in good shape doesn't mean it's not there. The headliner cardboard is there, the fabric's gone. It's got better springs than the suspension.
Just fly through the windshield. Oh wait,
It's
there's none.
It's almost like ejecto-cedo. We'll leave this in the car just in case. Get in and try out your seat. It doesn't matter.
Push it back?
Yeah.
How?
You gotta press the button in the front. Pull the lever up.
It's like kind of terrified it's just gonna randomly spring forward.
As long as you don't press the button, it won't. Don't worry, once you're sitting in it, it won't throw you through the windshield.
Pretty comfortable. It's a little, I don't know what that said.
Okay, make car noises.
Vroom vroom.
Why'd you put a steering wheel on your side?
Hold up. Vroom vroom.
We better put that on our list to fix. I found this ancient Harbor Freight grinder in the tools from that garage buyout. It's been kind of nice having a separate grinder with the cutoff wheel permanently installed on it. Next time we're taking this with us to the junkyard. Thought her seat was broke. That's what I would get since I said, there's no way I'm bringing these back. Vroom vroom.
Doesn't sound like it has much horsepower.
It's not going to. Somebody keeps adding stuff over here. It's not my fault you pulled the steering wheel off. Seats. That's okay, we'll do that instead of the brakes. Great, I'm gonna have to fix that too.
Cute seat. Yeah.
We'll have to test that before we try to go highway speeds.
Ready?
Wait, are you recording?
What are you doing?
Well, I forgot to add battery cable ends. That's not the same as your handwriting, so. Okay, fine. Steering wheel's fixed. Yeah, we're gonna have to put battery cable ends on, because, come here, I'll show you. This is the bolt. That one.
It's fine.
I don't think I could get that nut off there and rejuvenate those threads, and the end's missing, so let's put new ones on.
It doesn't matter, your hair is beautiful, by the way.
All right, battery cable ends are done. Coolant we're not gonna do until after we put water in it and cycle it and make sure it doesn't pour it all over the ground. No sense in pouring antifreeze in it just to dump it on the ground. Brakes, not looking forward to that one, but I guess it's time. So the major problem that we're gonna have here is getting that nut out without twisting that line off. That's probably not gonna survive no matter what we do, but we're gonna start there. We might get lucky, probably not. Well, surprisingly, the first one, no problem. Hopefully we get lucky on. I'm actually gonna do all three of them. I was looking at the one on the rear end while I was under there. It's in pretty bad shape. What I don't want to happen is to blow that out and spill brake fluid everywhere when we're trying to drive it. So I have it. I ordered it just because I figured it was gonna be bad, so we're gonna do it anyway. Now I'll just put this back together. I'm gonna run a wire wheel on these rotors. There's no point in putting new pads or anything on it because look at the rotors. And I'm not gonna turn the rotors because look at the car. Pretty lucky so far. Now let's see if we can get the caliper to collapse. Brake fluid don't actually look that bad. You know? It's going surprisingly well. Just cleaning up the part of the bolt where the caliper slides back and forth, just so hopefully the brakes can release and not get hung up. If you're trying to sand something that's round in your vise, if you rotate it so that you can pull back against the vise, it doesn't fall over so easy. We'll wait to put that on until we're ready to put it in the car. The last thing we have to try to get broke loose is the bleeder screw. And make sure that it's clear so that we can get the air out once we put this back on. Header bolt wrench, small block Chevy. Oh, it's even clear. Fuck. All right. Now we just gotta put it back together. And that's where we're gonna end the video. Just kidding. We're gonna go get more brake hoses. That might be the fastest that rotor ever went. All right, now the other side. All right, we're gonna try a little heat. You okay?
Yeah.
Are you all right?
Yeah, something hit the edge of my eye, but it didn't go in my eye, so.
Let me see your eye.
It just hit like right there on the corner, like on the skin, not on my eyeball.
Apparently the hose was plugged up enough that that heat pushed the hose right out of the end. I've never seen that before. Okay, this is gonna be a 2 vice grip job, I guess. Maybe this car is cursed. The good news is it's not frozen on the end of the brake line. Time to turn our rotor. All right, I guess now we go get brake hoses. Well, there's one. Look, that one would have exploded. It would have just came right off. That's what we didn't want to happen. I think this one was already done anyway. Now we gotta figure out how to get the back seat out of the car. Okay. Well, we've got more cleaning to do.
Is that mouse nests?
I would say. Put a coupler right there. We got all this. Come around here. We got all this here, and I don't know what the brake line looks like underneath it. So if we're gonna have to put a coupler in it, we'll just put it up here where we can see the brake line's good. It looks good the rest of the way forward as far as I can see. We'll just replace that little piece of brake line. All right. That should be good to go, and we'll just work it back under the clips here and to hold it where it goes. There. All right, now we just need to vacuum out the back of the Mustang, put the rear seat back in. Now it's time to put our brake hoses back on the calipers here. And there was no sealing washers or anything on these, so we're putting them back the same way they were. And then we're just gonna spin it into the caliper And since our fitting here is loose, we can do it that way. We don't have a bracket to go through with this one because, well, it's rusted away. So we'll just let it hang out there. Now it's time to bleed the brakes. And we're really trying to get this thing done tonight. It's dark and late and parts stores are closed. And I just thought I probably should have tried pressing the brakes and seeing if the master cylinder is even going to come back around and work. I guess we're going to find out. It's completely full. And the fluid actually don't even look that bad. I guess Amber, go ahead and get in and you can pump man and I'll be the get squirted in the face with brake fluid.
Sounds like a plan.
Well, the good news is the brake fluid is, or the brake master cylinder is moving fluid. The bad news is we have another hole in the brake line right there. It's bled this far though. That's where the brake fluid's coming out. So, I hate to do it, but
I mean,
we're gonna have to get another union and go from there to there. I think, might as well get some water and stick water in it and fire it up and see if it'll run.
It's dripping off of that thing.
Off what thing?
That knobby. Like off the end of it. So there has to be a consistent flow because there's no way there's enough water left on top of that from.
Yeah, it's also dripping from behind the water pump too. That's okay. It's not leaking bad enough to prevent it from running.
What's that belt that's not running?
Oh.
What's that gonna do?
That's the water pump belt.
Oh. It's not the water pump that's leaking, it's further back than that.
Behind the water pump.
Oh.
Okay. I wonder why I threw that belt.
I mean, I know some components aren't working, but it runs really well.
Yeah, I mean, idle's good. It's got a little bit of a rough idle. I mean, it's ran in 31 years. I feel like that's to be expected. Doesn't seem to be getting hot. 140 is good, so. It goes in reverse. Okay. Goes in forwards.
Very squeaky about it.
Second part. Okay. Well, our leak that was coming out of the back of the water pump, it just needed a little heat. Brought that gasket back around, I guess. it's not leaking anymore. So that one's good. The radiator petcock was actually loose, like Amber said, so that one should be good now. I got a clamp on the fuel line back there that needs to be snugged up a little bit. Looks like the accelerator pump didn't survive, so I guess we're gonna have to take the one that wasn't the right exact one, and I'll grind that nub down on it, and we'll put that one in there. Other than that, fix the brakes. I think this thing's ready to go down the road. All right, we're gonna top off the brake fluid and try to bleed the brakes again. Went this morning, got a brake line and put another splice. The new splice is kind of up under the dash. I got past all of the brake line that was rusted where it was down in the water when it was pooling on the floor. So we should be good now, at least on that portion. We still have front brake lines and rear brake lines. But we're just gonna cross our fingers and hope that everything goes good. So that crunchiness is the spring inside the master cylinder. Probably not ideal to drive this car very far.
There's a light on?
Let off the brakes?
But does the headlights turn on with the brakes?
No, the side marker lights do.
Oh.
That's a feature. That way the people next to you know you're stopping or turning. That could get confusing. Somebody apparently isn't very happy with how the brakes are going. I'm gonna cross it off. As of right now, they work. The back brakes, the wheel cylinders are froze, so there's no back brakes, but both front brakes work. And as a bonus, they drag when you let off of them, so it has automatic brakes. All you gotta do is let off the gas. It's kind of like an electric car. You just let off the gas, it stops. Press the gas, it goes. Now, it's not on our list, but in order to drive it, we're gonna need a windshield. So I got my windshield right here, and they're even tinted. I'm gonna do a cold start, back this thing out, let it warm up a little bit, and then we're gonna drive it for the first time in 31 years. That was anticlimactic. Brakes work good. It's officially on the road. way, but I think I changed my mind. That's the shortest way home. Now that it's warmed up, it's idling a lot better. Runs good. I mean, it's a 4-cylinder 1980 Mustang that sat in the field for 30 years. Can't expect a whole lot, but it runs, it drives, the transmission shifts the way it's supposed to, the brakes work, steering's a little loose, but you know, it's old, and I'm pretty impressed with it. I can't believe it made it home. We didn't have to walk or push it. Well, it runs and drives. We can't keep it. We can't have another black car. We've already got 2, and I don't have time to keep all of them clean. I don't have time to keep any of them clean, to be honest. No, seriously. We bought this car with the intention of getting it out of the forest and keeping it from going to the crusher, because that's where it was headed. And I think we've done that. It runs and drives. If somebody wanted to buy it, they could load it on a trailer under its own power, wouldn't even need a winch. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna list this thing on Facebook because we feel like it'd be better for us to take the money that we could get out of this and invest it in another car that we can save from the crusher, save out of the forest, out of the field, out of the barn, wherever we find it, and do it again. That being said, if we can't find somebody who wants to take this and make it into a race car, or burnout car, or drift car, or you know, a car, or whatever, then some point in the future we'll do that ourselves, but for now we're going to try to get rid of it and move on to the next project. I hope you guys have enjoyed following our journey as we pulled this thing out of the forest, cleaned it up, got it running, and made it drive under its own power. See you soon.